Today I'm going to be chatting about all of my new favorite products from the drugstore. You've probably noticed, but since about December, and I mean since always, but since December there have been so many new launches. I have narrowed the list down to a few of my new favorite products. The list is still kind of long because there's been a lot of good launches. Today this video is a collaboration with my YouTube friend Andrea. We collaborated a little while back on a best e.l.f. brushes video, so I will link to that down below. And I think e.l.f. is how I discovered her channel, but she's fabulous, super sweet, has great content, and I've known her since about 2013, so be sure to check out her video down below. She's going to be chatting about her favorites, but let's get started. If you're wondering what is on my lips, it is one of the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit liquid lipsticks. I think that these are awesome. They retail for like $5, a really nice shade range. If you want to see all the shades in action, I did a lip swatch video, which I will link to down below. I also did a whole kind of try-on video of the Wet n Wild 2017 collection. They released a ton of stuff, so if you're curious about my thoughts, I will link to that down below. But regarding these, I think these are great. Liquid lipsticks are kind of like mascaras in the fact that like everybody has a very different opinion on what they look for from a liquid lipstick, but for me, I find these comfortable, they're not too drying, a good pigmentation, cost $5, and a really wide shade range. So if you've been looking to dabble in liquid lipsticks, if there was a few colors in the collection that you were lusting after, I definitely recommend you give them a try. Another item that I really love from that Wet n Wild launch, which I wasn't expecting to love, is this guy. It is the Megaglo Contour Stick. The one that I use in the shade is in the shade Where's Walnut. There's two shades just below as well if you have a lighter skin tone, but I think that this is beautiful. Again, under $5, really blends beautifully on the skin. It doesn't look muddy, not too warm, not too cool. The shape of it even is just great. It's so easy just to draw on the face, and normally with cream products for me, I don't reach for them because I have very oily skin, but this is something I find myself reaching for sometimes even in the morning before work, which is unheard of because like who has time for cream contouring before work? But this is just so easy and so blendable and really has surprised me. I have two brow products that have really surprised me. The first is from Essence. This is a part of their new collection. If you live in North America, in Europe, you may already be able to get your hands on it, but it is their eyebrow gel. It's essentially just an eyebrow pomade, but what I like about this is I find it's a lot more user-friendly than a lot of the eyebrow pomades out there. Something like the Anastasia Dip Brow can be a little bit intimidating because it's so full of pigment, and I still absolutely love that. I do think you can get a natural brow out of it, but if you've had trouble working with those kind of products, I think that this is beautiful. It has a little bit of a thinner consistency, but still pigmented, does not move around. I think the color is beautiful for me. It seems like it only comes in one shade at the moment. I'm not sure if they plan on extending it. It looks kind of gray in the pot, and I was kind of scared about that, but this has blown me away. Great wear time, very easy to use. You can get a bold brow, a natural brow, and I think it retails for about $3.99 or $4.99. And then from Covergirl, it is their brow powder. This I was expecting to suck. I tried it out and I was like, this is not going to be any good. It's going to be messy. It's going to be hard to use. But wow, totally impressed. This may depend on the type of brow you have, and that can be said for like any brow product. But if you have very sparse brows, I'm not sure how this would work in creating like brush strokes and hair, like actual fake hairs on your face. But for me, my brows are already pretty full. They just need a little bit of extra something. I'll add a little something onto the tail. But this I found was so easy to use, not as harsh and dark as I thought it was going to be. But what really stood out to me was the longevity. At the end of a work day, at the end of a night out, this was still in place, does not move around, looks just as good as when you put it on. So I was really impressed with this. And if you looked at this and thought the same thing I did, definitely give it a chance. Also from Covergirl is their new powder. It is the Covergirl Outlast All Day Matte Setting Powder. And this really blew me away. I feel like this really does help to mattify. It's a very light powder, good for setting your face, good for touching up. It doesn't have a ton of color in there. My issue with it is the shade range. It's very small. There's about 3 shades in there, and Covergirl is pretty good with releasing a nice amount of shades, I think. But the shade range is very small. That being said, I really don't feel like the powder has much pigmentation. So today on my face, I'm wearing the shade Medium Deep, and No, this does not look medium deep. It does not look like it would work on my skin tone, but it really does because there's just not much pigmentation in there. But I really feel like it does something to help mattify my skin and help keep it more matte throughout the day. I still produce oil because I have very oily skin, but I do feel like this helps keep things in order. The foundation that I'm wearing today, in addition to that powder, is the Maybelline Dream Cushion. You're probably not surprised to see this in here, but I have found myself reaching for this so much since I first reviewed it. Again, this is a product that totally surprised me. When I hear cushion, I think very light coverage, I think dewy and luminous, and for me, I like a medium coverage and I like matte. So I was expecting this to be a disaster, but I have a full review on it if you'd like to see it in action, and this is something that I reach for on days when I want light makeup. On days when I want a long wearing makeup, I will build it up if I want a little more coverage or add a powder foundation over it, but it truly has a beautiful, beautiful natural finish. It is like a second skin, and a lot of people, or I hear a lot of people say that, and I try the foundation, I'm like, no, it looks like foundation. But I really feel like this is just so light and so beautiful, but still gives coverage and longevity. It is quite expensive from the drugstore, but for me personally, I think it's worth it. I love the result that I get from it. I will definitely be repurchasing this, and I just think it is stunning. Another foundation that I've really been enjoying is the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. Now, this is a little bit interesting because if you have watched my Oily Skin Diaries review on this, it didn't go that well. And I was a little bit surprised because I was like, I've been loving this. And then I ended up quite oily at the end of the day. So a disclaimer for this foundation: if you're buying this expecting to use 4 or 5 drops, get full coverage, it lasts all day, not gonna happen. I think the claims are so off on this foundation, but what I think it is beautiful for and what I think it should be is marketed as a light coverage foundation. When you wear this, a couple drops on the face, even out the skin tone, it's beautiful, it's quite matte, and I just think that it has really good lasting power. For my review, however, I did want to test the drop foundation, the customization of it, and it was very heavy on my skin. It did not get to a full coverage. You would have to use like half the bottle, and you're already only getting 0.43 fluid ounces in here. And just be careful when you're dropping on your face. I see people on Instagram dropping stuff on their face all the time, and it looks great. I did it twice and dropped it on my pants. So make sure you're holding your face back and dropping it on. It is a nice way to apply it because you're not wasting any product. And I like to use a brush with this to get better coverage. But if you want something that is lightweight, something that is going to be like a natural matte finish on your skin, it's really nice. But if you do have drier skin, with the liquidy texture that it has, you could easily add in an oil, but I do really like this for light makeup days. You know that I had to include the Maybelline Inti-Matte lipsticks. I think that this is like, oh my god, I love this lipstick range. It's one of my favorite ranges, like in its entirety ever, maybe. The shade Naked Coral, Raw Chocolate, and Brown Blush. Oh, they're stunning. I just think that they did such a good job formulating the shades. They're interesting, but they're wearable, but they're just like, I don't even know, they're phenomenal. Like, it is so good. I have a full lip swatch video on these. They have the same formulation, I believe, as the Creamy Matte lipsticks, which is gorgeous. So they're very wearable, but they don't get patchy on your lips. They may wear off and transfer, but they're not drying or too uncomfortable, and I just think that these are such a huge win. Another great lipstick formula are the Revlon HD Gel Lipsticks. These have a beautiful texture. They've got shine to them. They look juicy without being sticky, kind of like a hybrid lip balm, lipstick, and lip gloss, if that makes sense. They still have a good amount of pigment to them. You can build them up, wear them more sheer. If you want to get the most wear time out of it, you may want to wear a lip liner or blot. They do move around some of the deeper shades a little bit, but I think that they are just so nice. It's just something that you may have to be more mindful of and blot it down, because as they wear down, they'll lose their shine. They'll stain your lips a little bit, and I just really like it. I also love that it comes in a little bit of a slimmer tube, really easy to apply, and a great purse item. From Essence, this is their Glow Must Go On Bronzing and Highlighting Palette, and I was going to wear this as my highlight today, and I actually can't find the one that I use. This is one that I put aside for an upcoming giveaway, but I think that the highlighter in here is beautiful. I've chatted about it before in my Essence video, along with my drugstore highlighting and contouring palettes video, so if you'd like to see it, I will link to those down below. I don't love the 2 eyeshadows that come in here, but it's a $10 palette with 2 highlighters in here, so I definitely wanted to mention it because drugstore highlighters can be very, very very tricky and dicey, and I think that these are beautiful, smooth, really nice texture, and definitely worth it even if you're skipping out on the included eyeshadows. From L'Oreal, I have been really enjoying the Infallible lip paints. I mentioned the shade Taupeless in my March favorites, and then after talking about that a bunch, I broke them out again, and I wore the shade Nude Star to work today. So nice. I reapplied it a couple times, but I really don't mind that because it's such a comfortable formula. Doesn't really move around. It transfers a little bit, but it's moisturizing. A great color, really glossy texture. The whole like lacquer thing seems to be very in for 2017, and I think that these are beautiful. A really nice fruity scent. I also love the shade Spicy Blush. These two are probably going to be the most popular, and then also Cool Coral is another favorite of mine. There's about 12 shades in the range. I will link to my lip swatch video down below. There's some really cool shades. There's like a navy blue and a teal and a lilac, and these are just really comfortable to wear, comparable to like the Maybelline Color Jolts or the Too Faced Melted. So if you're into that formula, these you'll really enjoy as well. From Joe Fresh, I mentioned these in a trying out new drugstore makeup video, I believe. These are their single shadows. I think that these are really good, especially the shade Cinnamon. It's like a matte mid-tone brown, which if you're buying a drugstore eyeshadow palettes, or if you have colorful eyeshadow palettes and you're always reaching for another palette to get a mid-tone brown, I think that this would be a great option. It works on my skin tone. I think it could work if you're a little bit lighter or deeper as well. It's just a very beautiful, not too cool, not too warm shade. Great texture, and Joe Fresh is quite affordable as well. Found at Dominion, Loblaws Superstore, or Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada. And then the other shade that I really love, this is part of their spring collection, is the shade Pretty Penny, which is exactly that. It's kind of like a coppery shade. This one is more metallic, but I've had really good luck with the Joe Fresh singles. In keeping with the Canadian brands, I have been enjoying the Annabelle Eye Primer. This is really good for a number of reasons. First of all, there's like a couple things that I feel like the drugstore always misses the boat on or just doesn't produce for whatever reason. One of them being just matte cream colored eye bases, and this is exactly that, so props to them before anything else, before formulation and wear time. It is quite a stiff formula, but I don't mind that. I feel like that helps to grab eyeshadows a little bit better, and I also feel like it does a good job as a base, canceling out my eye, allowing colors to pop a little bit more and helping them last throughout the day. This had fallen on the floor and I almost didn't mention it, and it is so good. It is the Maybelline Big Shot Mascara. I mentioned this at length time and time again, but it gives tons of volume, tons of length, doesn't flake on me, comes in a gold package. It's great. I've had a bunch of friends and subscribers reach out to me and say that they've tried it as well. I mean, mascara is very personal, but it seems like it has been a big win for a lot of people, and Maybelline's mascaras are quite affordable in comparison to a lot of the things that are going on at the drugstore. They seem to do a pretty good job at mascaras anyways. I used to love the Rocket so much, and this has totally replaced this, and I can't stop using it. Hopping back to Canadian brands, Quo has released some new bronzers and blushes, and I absolutely love the bronzers. I think that these are great. Drugstore matte bronzers are really hard to find, especially ones that match my skin tone. This one here is in the shade South Beach. There's also another kind of golden one. I find they're kind of similar. The golden one is slightly warmer. They both have these cores in there, so the golden one has a gold core, but it's not at all shimmery. This one has like a light pink, and it doesn't really show up. I'm wearing this as a bronzer today, and I think that this is so good, comparable to high-end, and Quo can be one of those brands that's looked over at Shoppers Drug Mart. If you're Canadian, you probably know what I'm talking about, but this is something definitely to try. Lastly, I want to mention this from Hard Candy. I did a whole Hard Candy trying out their new makeup, so I will link to that down below. I've got tons to link down below today. This is their Whatever lip lacquer in the shade Devious. It's a gorgeous deep red shade, and these are just so nice. They've got a really good consistency, not thick or sticky, but so juicy, full of pigment, and they just look so nice on the lips. I've been really into these glossy lacquer things that have been going on, and Hard Candy is one of the most affordable drugstore brands nowadays, so if you've been interested in trying it out, this line is really nice. They've got some deep shades, some neutrals, and I definitely want to pick some more up. So there you have it. Those are a few of my favorite new products at the drugstore. I could have gone on and on and on, but I will leave you with that. Let me know down below what your favorites are. Be sure to check out Andrea's video. I will link to her down below. And right after this, I'm gearing up to film a worst new products at the drugstore. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!